Welcome. Today we're going to learn how to make some delicious bread and pizza dough with Joe. This is a simple recipe that you can make at home, so let's get to it. Always remember to clean. That's rule number 1. Here we like to use white vinegar because it is natural and it will clean the surface where we're putting our foods, so we don't have any kind of dirt or any kind of chemical. Make sure that you use a dry rag to take the excess vinegar off the table. For the ingredients, we will need only a few things. All-purpose flour, 2 cups, instant dry yeast, 2 tablespoons, sugar and honey, 1 tablespoon of either, salt, 1 teaspoon. Something I've learned over time is it's good if you pour the flour into the scoop, or you can actually fill your scoop with a spoon, but this will make sure your measurement is more accurate. We're going to separate a little dough. We're going to put the salt into the flour and mix it up real good. We're going to put our yeast in here later, so we need a little bit of sugar and yeast, 2 tablespoons of yeast. We use dry active yeast, and you want to give it a little stir. If you start seeing some bubbles from the beginning, that is good news. If not, may mean your yeast is a little too old. Then we're going to go ahead and put the sugar in. Make sure that we feed that yeast. It's what's going to give us these bubbles later on. If you see those bubbles, that's a good sign. That's what we want. We stir it up. I like to put it in a bigger container because this yeast is going to grow. We're going to put it away for about 10 minutes. I kind of forgot about it, and here we have 30 minutes later, some nice growth and bubbles. Pour the yeast in there. Make sure that we get all of it. Give it a nice spin. Incorporate all the dough with the yeast. Some of you might have a machine to do this at home, but I like to do things manually. Sprinkle some flour there. Make sure you cover the surface, and don't be shy. We're going to put a little bit more flour. We have to make sure that we get those full 4 cups. Make sure your dough's a little bit straggly. It has to break apart a little bit, look dry, but once we knead it, it's all going to come together. Make sure you get a good amount of flour in your hands and on the table. Here's where we're going to go ahead and incorporate the flour and the dough together. Make sure you cover every surface, and then we're going to stretch and hold, stretch and hold. If you have some excess dough in your hands, tip is you put some flour, some dry flour, rub your hands together, come right off. Go back to kneading. Now you want to do this for about 10 minutes, and this is going to make a whole lot of difference later on. Your dough is going to be much more responsive, and that's what we want. You want to be able to mold it later. So all this needs now is a little bit of olive oil, and we're going to separate it into smaller portions in order to make our pizzas and a nice loaf of bread. Now after you put the olive oil and a little bit on your hands, this dough is just going to slide right off if you did it with the right proportions. It shouldn't be sticking too much to your hand. So make little balls and just roll it around. Between the cups of your hands, roll it around, and you're going to be doing that a lot once you've mastered the art of making some good pizza dough and some bread dough. Now, pizza time. This wax paper has a shiny side and a dull side. You want to use the shiny side so you can cover this whole surface on your pan. This here, it's called spirulina. I don't know, it's semolina. Sorry, it's kind of like a corn-based thing, but it's really good. It makes your pizza nice and crunchy, and it's very popular in Italian cooking. So we're gonna put these to the side. Make sure that our surface is clean again. Rule number 1, clean, clean, clean. Separate some flour. Keep some on your hands like LeBron. And now it's snowing again. So here we have the first piece of pizza dough. You want to go ahead and punch in that big bubble to make sure that you can take out your dough. Some people like to chill it, but whatever you do, you got to make sure it's room temperature. You can use a rolling pin. I like to use a bottle. You can do it your own way, but I used to be the kind of guy that didn't have measuring cups or a rolling pin, so I had to kind of make it my own way, as you can see. Don't worry, not every pizza has to be perfectly round. This one could be shaped like a boot. They all have their own style when they're homemade, so get creative. Clean, clean, clean. Rule number 1. This is going to stop it from sticking onto the table, and you don't want anything on your pizza that you didn't put in there. Roll up that ball once you take it out. This we're going to save for the bread for later. Roll it a bit and drop it like it's hot. Poke, 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 get all the air out, make it flat, make it round with the tips of your thumbs, and then kind of stretch it out. Again, if you have the right recipe, the right consistency of the dough, you can do these circle moves. Then we're gonna do the bottle, of course. And you're gonna have to feel your dough. You can put it up in your knuckles like this, just roll it around. Feel where there are excess patches of the flour. And this trick I saw recently on a video, hope it works. Just flap it. You flap it open, stretch out that side, turn it, flip it, flap it. Just kind of work your dough. That's the thing about food. You have to feel it as well. Put a little bit of love, you'll know when it's right. We really enjoy simple toppings. We believe in the simplicity of the pizza, and the combination of basil, tomato, cheese and sauce, the original margherita, is just amazing. We like to do our own little turn on it. We like to use some green olives as well and some purple onion. So that makes all the difference. And here we have a magic olive. Spinning trick. Amazing. Here we start with a little bit of cheese. Of course, we're gonna make 2 pizzas, so we want to have enough to cover both surfaces. We like to use a fresh cheese here. It's a little bit salty, not as stretchy as mozzarella, but sure adds a lot of taste. So with these hands, we're gonna put these nice toppings on a beautiful dough. Let's get to it. little bit of sauce in the middle, spread it around as evenly as possible, and I don't mind putting it on the edges. I think it gives it a nice color as well. Some people also put some olive oil on the edge to give it a nice crispy flavor. Put all your favorite ingredients as much as you want. For the tomatoes, I do recommend taking out the gooey part, since that'll make your actual pizza leak a little bit of liquid. This happened to us, but in the end, we did get a delicious pizza, colorful, tasty. The worst part was not being able to eat it until the other pizza was ready. Now in this one you'll see we used a different technique, putting the cheese first on the pizza dough. This I've seen is a good way to avoid a soggy dough. If you're getting, just some soggy dough, or for some reason you can't get that crunchy texture, try incorporating your sauce on top of the cheese. And this will make sure that your bottom layer is as fluffy, as crunchy as possible. Finally ready. About 10 to 15 minutes each in our oven, might vary in your own. Try to go as hot as possible. Here we have a little bubble. And here we go with the tasting. Bon appetit. It'll make the whole family happy. You can make your kids pizza any day. Bread time. Always cleaning. Now the difference between a pizza dough and a bread dough is after it puffs up and we punch it in, we're going to go ahead and give it another knead. This is just to make sure that we get as much air in it as possible, and we're going to let it proof afterwards. Now, what is proofing? Before you Google it, I'll tell you. Proofing is making sure that this bubble gets as big as possible. For the video, we're going to do 30 minutes, see how much it rises, and after that, we're going to shape it, put that baby in the oven. The recipe calls for 180 degrees Celsius for about 30 minutes. Make sure you do your own conversion, of course. And in my case, our oven sometimes is a little nutty, so it only needs 20 minutes. So, as usual, keep an eye on your oven and enjoy this recipe. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope your family enjoys this treat as well, as mine usually does. Cooking is always a pleasure to be able to make other people feel good as well and show your appreciation. Thank you once again for watching this video, and enjoy.